Hi, welcome. If you're new, if you're not, hi, welcome back. My name is Demetra. I'm glad you could be here today. Today's video is the first really concentrated law school related video. Since it is the first video, I want to go over my top 5 admissions pieces of advice and as well why I decided to go to law school. Now, those two kind of tie in together for point 1. The first thing I recommend is to figure out why you're going to law school. Similar to med school, but also not similar to med school, you really need to have a commitment to law school. Like, you need to be living, breathing, eating law school if you decide to do this. Come on. Come on. You always get asked what you want to be when you grow up. I never really knew that. I know, baby. You always get asked what you want to be when you grow up. And I had always said this very cheesy, corny things like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer, but it was or I want to be an artist, but it was always related to art. That was my initial career goal, was going into art. Meanwhile, my brother was super smart. He also didn't know really what he wanted to do. Initially, he wanted to make cars. Everyone around us growing up said he should go to law school or he should go to medical school. And when everyone looked at me, they said, well, I mean, she'll figure something out. So I just sat there and said, all right, well, it's fine. Like, I'll figure it out one day, like they say. And fast forward to college, I ended up starting my degree in biology because I thought I wanted to go into forensic science. I always loved criminal investigation, anything. It was so intriguing to me initially, like the analysis and the science behind everything. The problem I had with that was that I was not great in organic chemistry. They were not the best grades I ever got, we'll leave it at that. And I decided that I should probably not be in science. So I switched to criminal justice since I knew that was the field I wanted to go into, but I didn't know what I wanted to do after graduation. Then, junior year of college, I'm in a criminal law class, and this was a requirement for us to graduate college with the criminal justice degree. This professor was fantastic. I still love him to this very day. He was the one who actually recommended that I do go to law school, and this is the story behind that. We were sitting in a class, and there was a case that it was obviously in favor of the defense, and so the professor told everyone, all right, if you want to make an argument for the defense, raise your hand. And everyone raised their hands. They made all their various arguments. Okay. Then he says, all right, if anyone wants to make a case for the prosecution, you can make your case. No? No one? So then I said, you know what, screw it. And I raised my hand. I said, and I made my case. I argued with him for the next like 5-10 minutes, just me and him. No one else had responded. And so at the end of class, he told me to come up to him and he said, I really think you should consider law school. Have you ever thought about that? And I honestly laughed. When he first suggested that to me, I laughed because I was never the individual that people would suggest to go to law school. It was always my brother. So if someone ever told me, like my professor did, hey, you should go to law school or think about going to law school, it was laughable, like I said, to me. But then I thought more about it and I realized that unless I wanted to be a cop, it would make the most sense. So obviously I'd be a cop as a backup plan, but I started looking into the LSAT. This was the beginning of my junior year of college. And initially it seemed like an easy enough exam, like, okay, I'll just take some logic questions, it's no big deal. The first time I took the LSAT, I had taken it blind, and I was like, oh god, this is rough, holy cow. But then I studied really hard. I'll go over those later on in this video, but I studied really hard and I ended up jumping up 17 points from my previous LSAT score, and I ended up getting full rides to various places, not just Penn State Law, and it was very, it was huge for me. I did not think I would even get remotely a little bit of a scholarship, much less a full ride. So it was definitely something to celebrate. So another part of my why is my Uncle George. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was very young. I believe I was about 9 years old when he passed away. It was 2006. And he was the district attorney of Tompkins County, I believe. It's basically just south of Syracuse in a town called Ithaca. And everyone loved him. He was super charismatic, and but he loved that type of work. No one else in my family, like their professions, seemed to call out to me as much as his did. And now, when I was the first one in my family, at least alive, to go be an attorney, it was as though he was watching over me when I was going through this process, through admissions and my first year of law school, and now I'm almost done with my second year of law school, and it's just been incredible. It's been a crazy ride. I can't believe I only have one more year left. My first piece of advice is find out your why. You really are going to be committed to the books here during your time in law school, and so if you don't have a very substantial why, then it will make law school very difficult, and there's no reason to put yourself through that if you do not have a big substantial reason. Quick side note, another reason was because I usually give the quick answer to people of racial injustice. A big problem right now. It's obvious, everything happening with George Floyd. Thank God that verdict came out the other day, and I'm very happy with how that came out. But everyone asked me, so if racial injustice is your interest and why you want to go into law, then why are you going prosecution? One thing you will learn in law school is that the burden of proof is on the prosecutor. You, as the prosecutor, can decide whether you should bring charges against someone as severely as they are brought up. You, as the prosecutor, get to decide that, basically. And so for me, I thought that if I was able to put myself in a place of power such as that, then I would be able to make a big difference in that type of way in the community. So that's why I want to go prosecution and criminal law. Now, my second piece of admissions advice is to get a very good LSAT score, which obviously is very general, it's very vague. But the way that I did it is actually super easy. I almost want to say it was self-study, but it really wasn't, because it was guided by artificial intelligence. So Khan Academy's LSAT program is guided by artificial intelligence, like I just said, and what it does is the first thing you do when you get on there is take a full timed LSAT exam. And you're thinking, oh god, I have to take this again? Yes, you are going to have to take this exam at least maybe 12 or 13 times. I took, not the official one where you pay for it, but various practice exams. I took at least 12 or 13 over the course of my entire study time, and when I was leading up to the exam, I actually took 5 exams over the course of 2 weeks right before the exam, and that helped me tremendously. So it is super important that you follow something that works for you. For me, Khan Academy was what worked for me. I got to drill through problems. The artificial intelligence popped up questions in areas that I was weakest. Not just for example, reading comprehension. But reading comprehension sciences, haha, was where I failed the most. So they would constantly give me reading comprehension science. And that was super helpful for me. Like I said, I jumped from a 143 to a 160 in a matter of 6 months, not even. So I needed to feel comfortable being able to take the exam in order to walk into my LSAT confidently. And obviously you need a good LSAT to get to feel more confident about applying to law school. My third piece of advice for admissions is to write an extremely good cover letter. And again, that's very self-explanatory, but for me, in my situation specifically, I did not have a good GPA. I did not have this resume full of volunteer opportunities like most people did, and not a ton of leadership positions like everyone else did. My thing with my cover letter was to talk about my perseverance through my grades, my auditory processing disability, and how I was able to get through the LSAT and what I did to jump my points so much. Doing those 3 things in my cover letter, or in my admissions letter, I keep calling cover letter, admissions letter, really showed schools that I had the tenacity to get through law school and to do it well. Having said that, if you do not have great grades, my 4th piece of advice is to write a grade addendum. Now what this means is that you write a 1 to 2 page paper about why your grades are not where they should be for law school admissions. For me, my first year in a biology major, I was below a 2.8 constantly, and that didn't necessarily show my abilities in my criminal justice degree. My criminal justice degree, I was getting 3.5 and above every single semester, but my overall GPA was a 3.4, I believe, because of the fact that I had this first year of below a 2.8 and I didn't know what to do, so I wrote a grade addendum, and a lot of schools really appreciated that as long as I addressed the poor grades on my transcript. They really appreciated my honesty on that front. My 5th piece of advice, go talk to the admissions people. I will not say this enough. If you contact them directly and set up a meeting with the admissions counselor, if you have the ability to, please do it. I did it with multiple schools, but my favorite experience was with Penn State Law, and Penn State Law wasn't even on my radar until the end of my admissions process. I literally clicked on them when I was applying to schools and said, why not? I could do this, that's fine. And so I applied, and they actually reached out to me initially and said, oh, if you have any questions, let me know. And then I set up a meeting with the admissions counselor to meet with him and go over my scholarship and go over loans and the school and what their environment is like, all this stuff. And Julian Morales was the guy that brought me around the school, and that made such a difference for me. I was extremely happy with the outcome of that day, and after that day of taking a tour, taking a practice class, and seeing the environment of the law school, I knew that number 1, law school was where I wanted to be, and number 2, Penn State Law was the place I was going to do it. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. It's a very short video because I am just about to get into finals. I actually am in finals technically, and it's mostly papers, so I kind of am in the middle of finals, but it's finals, so short video today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more law school videos, comment down below, let me know. And please go follow me over on my Instagram, because thank you for everyone that voted to have a law school video, because that is why this is here today. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
With you, I can be sad with you. Just take my hand and fly.